Hello everyone, Burb here. Sweep Tosho is releasing very shortly. I like to compile all my research on a character and put it into one singular video so that those who pull for her now or receive her later understand how the character works, but also so that the Oshi players can see their favorite character being talked about and have their time in the limelight. I like to give each character their time in the sun so that they can show what they can do. I'll talk about the banner real quick, and then we will go right into the character. If you're a Sweep Tosho Oshi player and you're getting cold feet right now, here's a bit of validation. She's a good character. She's an end closer, which is a strong role. She's not the top of the meta because the top of the meta is Christmas Auguri and frontrunners at the moment. However, she gives you a lot of things that makes her very easy to build and makes her very, very flexible. She can run in all 4 of the turf distances, and there's nothing in her kit that's really bound by distance, so you're not going to be at a disadvantage at that point in all 4 of those distances. She also has straightaway spirit and kit, which helps you build her very easily because you just throw everything at Umamusume, and those are the 2 main skills you're looking for on end closer. So very comfy character. I would say middle of the meta, but that doesn't honestly matter. You should pull for the characters that you personally enjoy over pulling for the characters that are meta in general. Now, let's talk about her from a research perspective. Her aptitudes are very flexible, like I said. You can run her in all 4 distances. It's not even a force in sprint or long. Now, you'll need 4 parents in the sprint, which means that you will get to sprint A from E, and that will help you get sprint S anyway, so that's not even a downside. The same thing happens with longs. You need 3+ parents for it, and then again, that'll help you with the longest aptitude. So she also is a distance mile medium AA, which is very, very rare in the terms of end closers. The only one I can think of on the top of my head is He/She Amazon that does this. This means that she can run mile races as an end closer, stock out of the gate without having to go and invest a bunch of sparks, and you can run some wacky parents with her because of that. She is a pure end closer in my opinion. You can run her in the late searcher position. However, because she's not position bound on any of her skills, she is end closer bound or strategy bound on those skills. So you have to build her from scratch in the late surger position. But as an end closer, she is rather formidable itself. Now, her stat bonuses are 10% speed, 20% power. We have talked a lot about this particular stat spread. I think it's one of the strongest in the game. It is the vodka stat line. And what this allows you to do is if you're running speed, power, wit, you can drop a power card and just go an additional wit card to help your wit hit 1200. And you basically hit 1200, 1200, 1200 for free with decent cards itself. Now, you can also run the guts build on her. That's perfectly fine. In Grand Live, you basically will just not run a power card and run power sparks plus light hello for that. So she's very versatile. It doesn't really matter which build you go with her because the power button is used in 3 of the different taps and the speed button is used in 2 of the different taps. 3 of the different taps as well. Sorry, speed, guts, and wit. So no matter what build you're going, your taps are going to be amplified. So she's quite strong in that respect. That's why Auguri Cap's so strong. That's why vodka stats are pretty easy to get as well. Her ultimate victory belongs to me, Strelitzia. Or, if you prefer, your mine, Strelitzia, says if positioned towards the back and racing calmly until the start of the final corner, when there are 300 meters remaining, cast a magic spell to increase velocity continuously. There's only a couple conditions. Most of it is in the precondition, but the precondition is honestly a little bit difficult the longer the track goes. You have to go and be in the back half of the pack all the way up till the final corner. This is very different from the previous out 50 continue times because normally we only go to 50% of the race. She requires all the way to the final corner, which means as tracks get longer and longer, specifically in those long tracks, it's going to be harder and harder to not go and push into the 4th position. So she is really built to be in the sort of 2,000 mediums to like the 1,600 miles, somewhere in that range. But she is certainly useful in the other ones. It's a little bit more of a gamble because pack position is not something you can 100% control. And that out 50 continue time, if you do not know, is you have to basically be 5th or worse the entire part of the race for champions meetings. It's 50% or later and it's rounded up. So if you are in 5th place, you're perfectly fine. However, if you do so much as go into 4th place for just a half second, well, then your ultimate turns completely off. That was the entirety of the animation budget right there. So her new unique, if you're able to go all the way till the final corner, which is notably after the spur in longer medium tracks and long tracks, you are given a decently powerful speed ultimate at 300 meters. Now it's a 6-second 0.35, which is worse than a 0.45. However, that additional second makes it really close to a Triumphant Pulse, which is 93% of Triumphant Pulse by distance units alone. So it's a pretty decent late race ultimate that will go and steal you some wins. Remember that Oguri Cap ultimate is one of the best ultimates in the game in terms of late race ultimates. The Inherit itself is okay. I mean, it's not the greatest. It has a difficult condition at the start. Notably, this is not necessarily an ult that this ult can proc from first, but you can't put it on a front runner or really a pace chaser because you have to be in the back till the final corner. So even if you're at 300 meters in first place, it is a win more ultimate as well. Now the unique Inherit is probably not as good. It's 70% of a Tripulse. Tripulse is much more easy to proc as well, but if you do get a good parent with her, you might consider putting it on end closers. Her career is actually quite interesting. It is a gauntlet. However, it is a medium and mile gauntlet. You are running a ton of G1 races, like pretty much the entire triple tiara. She is a tiara character like Mejro Dober, and you also are running pretty much the Autumn Tenno, the Autumn Triple Crown as well without the Arima Keenan due to the long aptitude. Now, if you do win the triple tiara, you do get end closer corners for free, which is quite nice. This is outside of Track Blazer, of course, because careers are disabled, and there is a unique mechanic with her career. Now, after your debut race, she goes and becomes a bit testy and tells you that you're not the boss of me, which is a unique effect that says, hey, we are going to late start every single rate because it just adds 0.85 start delay, which honestly doesn't matter too much for end closers. Usually you will pace up and be perfectly fine in career. You do get a minor whip stat bonus, but that is cleared all the way later in senior year, late June, in the Takarazuka Keenan, where you get the skill Restraint, which is quite powerful for what it does. I didn't mention this before, but you also need to not be rushed in order to do the ultimate. I apologize for that. I keep forgetting that. But you also don't need to be rushed. If you get rushed, your ultimate turns off as well. So you get a 3% flat reduction to being rushed by picking up Restraint, and it is a nice 60 wit bonus for a cost of 160, in which you get 3 hints, I believe, for it. Yes, you get 3 hints, so it's really about 100 skill points for a 31% reduction in rushed instances at maximum wit, which is quite powerful, and you probably pick it up not only because it's good on Sweep Tosho, but because this is the only source of Restraint until Neo Universe Wit, which isn't the greatest card from what I have gathered, all the way in 2024 Japan schedule. Right now, we are in the middle of 2022. So we have over a year of accelerated schedule until this skill is actually on a card. So we're going to have to loop it into parents if we want the skills from characters like Sweep Tosho or Symboli Surya, stuff like that, as we go along. And it's going to be one of the rarer hints for those people who are trying to collect all of the parent sparks. Now, it's not too much more than a standard, savvy skill, but it is, honestly, it's more efficient than one, so it's quite good to at least consider, and it counts as a green. So frontrunner players, this is an additional green for you, and especially with Kopano Riki, you're going to be wanting to collect a lot of these greens as well. You also just get Slipstream. Yeah, that's fun. You get one of the best mid-race skills in the game that's very difficult to achieve, just from a top-bottom option. So you just pick bottom option like probably every time on this character because Slipstream is quite good and quite hard to get. And her event skills are honestly some of the best in the game, even though she doesn't have that many of them, which is very rare. Slipstream is great, and Closer Corners is great, Restraint is great. Her innate skills are also not too terrible. In mediums, you have Take the Chance as an option, and you have Straightaway Spurt. That's the two big ones. Straightaway Spurt's going to make it very easy for you to build her because you are not looking for multiple things from parents. And Trick Rear is there, but it doesn't really do anything because right now we're not really stamina bound. And I guess you can go and spend 100 skill points trying to make somebody stam out, but you should probably just pick more speed skills to make her win more often. Her two different gold innate skills are very good. Gold Go Home Specialist is the gold ship recovery. It is unique to Swinging Maestro, which is notable for very long tracks because very long tracks you can go double gold recovery, and for long tracks you can just go and get a discounted Go Home Specialist, not have to bring Super Creek, and go and make a lot of different wacky builds. In Grand Live, this may be really good for you because you won't have to run Super Creek, and if you have enough stamina sparks and you perhaps run something that helps you with your stamina as well, you could just run a speed whip build from there. It's quite powerful having an innate gold recovery in kit, especially in the end closer position. Petrifying Gaze is actually quite a good skill as well. It is a Dominator debuff. It's minus 0.25, but it is not position bound. All you have to do is be second or worse. If you're in first, it doesn't really matter because it is vision based. Now, you most likely are not hitting the front runners with this because of the way vision works. Now, vision works is in normal. You have 20 meters in a cone. And that cone, if you see somebody and the skill procs, it's who gets debuffed. Now, normally it's people you are looking to pass. Now, vision has other things that it does. It does picks like overtake targets and things like that. But mostly, let's just say if you don't buff it, you normally will probably hit the pace chasers and somebody else who spurted, and it gives you a slight advantage to it. And if you're lucky and you push up in the pack, in shorter tracks, you might be able to hit the front runner as well. So it's a decent skill. It's not the best skill in the world, but it's great. But at the end of the day, no one's really said this because I don't think many people have noticed, but yes, she's just casting Cone of Cold. Her CM viability, she's quite good. The thing is, again, the final corner on shorter tracks makes it easier. There's less room for her to go. But then again, on sprints is going to be the only thing where her ultimate gets partially eaten by the Excel Zone. Notably, on this 1,200 meter track, 6 seconds means that it's going to extend pretty much till the end of the race. Now, the sprint 1,200 meters and 1,000 meter tracks, again, probably not the most efficient thing to do, but there's nothing really stopping you from building this character compared to other ones. This is, again, snapshotting at 300 meters, so it will always proc at that 300 meter mark. Anything more than like 1,400 meters is perfectly fine. You basically don't get hit by the spurt at all. The spurt is well before where she is. She can run on pretty much any of these good CM tracks. The only problem is the longer the track goes, the more finicky her ultimate becomes, because after the spurt gets hit, you still got to be in the back half of the pack until the final corner, which is not advantageous on longer mediums and long tracks. You generally want to be pushing up as an end closer. So she's a little counterintuitive, but hey, that's the character. She's not trying to be the go with the flow of the thing. Her affinity, she has 29 with gold chip. Her affinities aren't great, but she does have the end closer cast in the mid-20s. It's like 24 to 26 for a lot of these. Notably, Ayabe and Narita Taishin both have mid-20s, and those characters don't have many good affinity characters. So she's decent with the end closer cast, which is where really you're going to be using her as a parent anyways, because the ultimate is at least usable on there, although like I said, it's a condition that you don't necessarily want to do. So she's also immune to Pace Chaser Sparks. If you have Pace Chaser Sparks in kit, she has Pace G and Front G, which means you do not have to worry about a rogue Pace Chaser Spark ruining your chances at getting Distance Sparks or Turf Sparks. So in conclusion, she has a lot of good things going for her. She's not top meta, but she has a good theme. She has great innate skills, both white and gold. Her career is rather unique. You do have a special little thing you have to go and fix, but it's nothing debilitating, and it gives you a nice reward in additional white skill that is basically unique to her at this point. She has a good ultimate. It does have that precondition that's a little bit tough at times, but at the end of the day, it's basically tripulse if it does decide to hit, which is quite good. She is a natural end closer, which is rare, and even rarer, she is an end closer with mile aptitude. She can run in miles, she can run in sprints, she can run in mediums, she can run in longs. You get the point. Yada, yada, yada. Burp out.